serving our country, both stateside and abroad, and watch over our elderly and our population as we fight the virus and keep everyone safe and out of harm's way. In your name we pray.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bailey,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Baden,
Here.
Councilmember Bourne,
Here.
Councilmember Hoyer,
Here.
Councilmember Tice. Here.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. The first item will be the approval of the minutes for the March 2nd, 2020 City Council meeting.
Mayor, move that we approve the minutes as written for the March 2nd, 2020 City Council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion, a second for the approval of the minutes as written for March 2nd, 2020 regular City Council meeting. Any questions or comments over the minutes? Mayor votes aye. Mayor Pro Tem Baden.
Aye.
Councilmember Vaughn.
Aye.
Councilmember Hoyer. Councilmember Tice.
Aye.
For the approval minutes is written for March 2nd, 2020 regular City Council meeting. Any citizen comments or reports? Item 5A will be receiving a report from Schneider Electric regarding cost-saving improvements to the city's wastewater plant.
Mayor and Council, Schneider Electric is here, and I believe they have their engineer, Mr. Zito, with them. And Emmy's probably got some handouts to give the council, so I'll just go ahead and come to the podium if you want.
Thank you.
As I mentioned to council, our sewer plant was designed and built over 20 years ago, and basically it's either on or it's off. There's not much fine tuning in there. And we're designed for over 20 million gallons a day, but our normal is usually around 2 to 3 million gallons a day. So there's a lot of technology that's come around in the last 20 years. There's a lot of equipment that's come around in the last 20 years that would allow us to fine tune our sewer plant in order to put it higher if we have to treat more than 2 or 3 million gallons a day, and lower if we need to treat less than 2 or 3 million gallons a day. And Schneider Electric has done some studies and done some on-site visits and has found some things they'd like to share with us, and I want to make sure council was aware of what was going on.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Sosa, for the introduction. Thank you all for having us here today. My name is Emmy Torlai. I work for Schneider Electric. I'm based out of Houston, and first started interacting with Mr. Sosa at City of Groves. I stopped by and was able to set a meeting with Mr. Sosa, and from there we learned of some challenges or some interest in just looking to see. Mr. Sosa told me, well, if we could do things better, we may as well look at how we might be able to make that happen. And so he gave us the opportunity to take a look at your facilities and your water plant, your wastewater plant, which was greatly appreciated. And tonight I have here with me Hannah Carter, who also works for Schneider, but she's a Groves native, and so has been involved in the process so far, and very helpful for us to better understand Groves and understand the community. And I also have Sia with us, and he is the wastewater expert for Schneider Electric. He works for us across the country and also lives in Houston, so focuses on the Texas market a lot. And so he's going to bring the expertise later on in the presentation. We should take about 10 minutes, and then we'll leave time for questions and answers, because it's not necessarily simple, the information that we're going to cover tonight, but we're going to try to make it as easy to understand as possible. So thank you for your time and attention. First off, I'd just like to say, well, why are we here tonight? So we are here to basically summarize some of the things that we found when we were able to walk the site at City of Groves and present to you a recommended solution or recommended ideas. When we walked, we didn't find anything that was, necessarily wrong with your plants. What we found was ways that they could operate more efficiently. and could operate more efficiently from a maintenance standpoint and then also from a financial standpoint. So we'd like to just have the opportunity to share those ideas with you and also be able to bring kind of the expertise that Schneider brings. We do work with many cities and water districts across the country. I would like to bring that kind of experience and leverage that for city growth. So, in summary, if you turn to, I think it's the third page of the handout, you'll see that we did walk the water plant and we also walked the wastewater plant. What we found at the water plant was that it was operating very well. That plant, we did not see anything that we would recommend to be changed at that plant. When we look at the wastewater plant, there are certainly some revisions or changes that could be made. As Mr. Sosa pointed out, that plant was built for quite a lot of demand in terms of gallon capacity, and Groves does not operate at that level of demand frequently. And so what you find is that the equipment you're utilizing is quite oversized for the actual operation, and that is leading to higher utility costs and also leading to higher maintenance costs on that equipment. So you don't have the ability to scale down if you have lower demand or scale up. And so that's something that we would certainly look at in depth if we looked at a project at the wastewater plant. And that could be an fairly easy, non-invasive tweak to make that could make it operate more efficiently. Something that we also think is important is looking at developing some kind of future-looking plan. So giving the city the ability to act not just reactively when there are issues, maintenance issues or operational issues at the plant, but to really take a more proactive approach, be able to plan better for some of the costs associated with the repairs at the wastewater plant. And so now I believe your next page is the recommendation page. And with that, I will let Zia better explain from a more technical standpoint some of the recommendations that we have to make your plant operate more efficiently.
Good evening. Thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing us the privilege to walk your facility. First and foremost, your water wastewater operations are the engine of economic. It's a mission-critical enterprise that the city has, and maintaining them and operating them at their peak performance is the key. There's nothing wrong with your plant, the wastewater plant. It's just that it's complying with the permit requirements and what have you. The challenge is that the plant was originally designed for 5.3 million gallons a day, and the average daily flow is 1.5. So imagine you have a system that is designed for 5.3 and it's operating at 28% capacity. So everything is over-designed, everything it's just inefficient. So our thoughts were that after walking the plant, we identified two basic options. First option was that use what you have. And by the way, one area that I would like to bring to your attention is sooner or later, the plant is aged and is aging. So investment in recapturing the remaining useful life is going to become a prime focus of your governing team, because and wastewater plants have a tendency to be not cheap. You can't go to Walmart and buy a pump, or you can't go to, it's just expensive stuff. So you have to plan for it. So one of the areas that we identified to Mr. Sosa in our review was a programmed asset management program, so that you can tell from an annual basis what your commitment might be for capital investment so that you can budget it and not have to, I'm sure when, see Troy is probably sitting somewhere behind me. He shows up at the council meeting and you're saying, oh my God, something is wrong, he needs an emergency funding, you know? So it will take you away from that reactive mode of operation, put you in a more proactive mode of operation. So that is, I think, a very important feature that you would want to know as to what is the capital obligation, because one of the challenges Mr. Sosa gave us was that he's a smart guy, by the way. He knows that a new plant costs about $25 a gallon. So if you have to put in a new plant, you're talking about $100 million prescription. That's big numbers, big numbers. So how can you utilize the current infrastructure and make it work for the 20-year term or the 25-year term? So that's what we focused on, is how to take your existing facility and ramp it up and soup it up to make it work for the future. So the two options that we identified were, one, because of the size of the plant and because of the flow, you don't need the entire plant to be operated. There are parts of the plant that can be put in a standby so that you can reduce the energy use and you can optimize the biological treatment. So that's one area that you can face in. And I'm looking at your option one project, basically. You have a lot of old style blowers, and these are blowers that are commonly referred to as multi-stage centrifugal blowers. And multi-stage centrifugal blowers do not allow you the ability to ramp down. So when your flow is at 28%, you have a blower working at 100%, it can't ramp down to match that flow. So there's a lot of energy inadvertently being spent. That is not the best scenario.